everyone and welcome back to Love English. Today we're looking at accents. We're going to look at 15 of the UK's regional accents. Now this is not all of the accents that the UK has. In fact, the UK does have more than that, but I picked a selection which I think is going to give you a great introduction to the accents that we have here. Also, these accents have recently been featured on TV shows, films and in the media, so I think it's good for you to be familiar with them. Now what we will do is we will look at the key phonetic features of each accent with examples, and if you're feeling brave, you can also have a try. But the point of this video is that hopefully you'll be able to identify the accent better and not be quite so afraid and intimidated by all the different accents in the UK and worrying about whether you can understand them. So let's get started with our whistle-stop tour of the accents across the UK. So the first accent we're looking at is of course the London accent, the Cockney accent. Now one feature which is very prominent is that THs very often become F or V. So for example, think can become think. Birthday can become birthday. Father can become father. Health can become elf. Today is my birthday. I think this accent's great. The next thing is that there is a glottal stop on some T's. For example, if you look at the word water, I would say water and I would pronounce the T. But a glottal stop is where we actually block air coming from our mouths so that we don't pronounce it. For example, in the word football, we have a glottal stop. We don't say football, we say football. Now, with the Cockney accent, you do this on words which commonly wouldn't have a glottal stop, such as water, bottle, things like that, daughter. So let's have a try. Water, bottle, daughter.
Right, well if he's got money to buy designer bags and he can cough up more maintenance. Best of the 90s CD, that's what I got for my birthday.
Another thing about this accent is the use of the dark L in some words. So in, for example, call, it would become cool. And there's almost like a W coming in there. Milk would become milk. Talk would become talk.
Where are you going? It's a 30-second drive or a 5-minute walk. I couldn't have parked outside. But I got a ticket.
Okay, the next one is the RP accent. The accent of the top drawer or the British upper class.
It's inevitable that I should seem a rather remote figure to many of you, a successor to the kings and queens of history.
Now, basically this accent isn't really used across the UK these days. It's spoken really by aristocracy, the royal family, and even really it's the older generations of the royal family. But you will see it on TV shows like Downton Abbey, The Crown, things like that. However, there will be people in this country, such as MPs, some people in the media, who are still speaking with a version of this accent, not quite as extreme as perhaps the royal family, but they are still using a version of it. Now, one of the features of this accent is that we really exaggerate our pronunciation. We articulate and enunciate, so we make sure that we pronounce every consonant and vowel completely. When I was younger and I had speech and drama lessons, my teacher used to teach me, the rain in Spain falls mostly on the plain. So it's very exaggerated in a way that you would treat the vowels and the consonants as all being important individuals. That's a good way to think about it, actually. So think about elongating your vowels. The phone, the car. Is it far? I can see.
And therefore when it's brought into British law, it should be brought into British law in a form that requires a plain English translation.
Another feature of this accent is that the diphthong ua is said correctly. Now today this ua diphthong has actually changed into more of an or diphthong to make it more easy to say and more easily to understand. However, because RP is supposed to be absolutely correct, they will pronounce it as ua, so pure. A tourist instead of tourist.
Oh, Harold hates to leave America.
Curious. He hates to leave America. I should hate to go there.
Next one is modern RP. Now, modern RP is essentially a more relaxed form of the classic RP. So you could use some contractions, there may even be some elements of connected speech at times, but essentially it's sticking to dictionary guides and pronouncing things according to the Oxford Dictionary in many ways. One thing I would say that is very important with modern RP is getting your H's right. You don't want to be dropping your H's. So you want to be saying things like, have you had a new hat on? I hate my homework when it's hard.
Kid, you're Harry Potter. I'm Hermione Granger. And you are?
Ron Weasley.
Pleasure.
The next accent is Essex. Now, I would say that there's a lot of crossover between Cockney and Essex due to the fact that a lot of Cockneys, a lot of Londoners moved out of London into the surrounding areas, so you'll find some similarities. Right, so features of the Essex accent. The A sound goes a bit higher and wider. So in words like face, place, disgrace, you'd have place, disgrace, taste.
Being funny, the constant PDA on social media, it's a bit much, isn't it? It's a bit false, they're too in your face.
As well as that, the ow sound flattens and becomes wider. So south becomes south, mouth becomes mouth, town becomes tan. I'm going downtown now.
Ages and ages later, they reached out and they said, Chloe, we're really excited to tell you we've got a channel. We can't tell you which one it is, but we really want you to film whatever.
Right, now we're going down to the west of the country to Dorset, Somerset, Devon and Cornwall. So quite a large geographic area known as the West Country. It has an unfortunate stereotype of being linked with farmers and cider apples, but that doesn't necessarily mean that everyone who speaks with it is actually a farmer. So try and put that stereotype aside. So it's a lovely warm accent with round vowel sounds. So you really want to enjoy the vowel sounds here. So for example, the ah sound becomes stronger and becomes ah, as in apple and ha. She don't eat that. That cat's getting fat. As well as that, H's are dropped from the beginning of words. So Harry Potter is what Hagrid says in Harry Potter. He has a West Country accent. The next thing about this accent is that there is a rhotic R. So a rhotic R is when normally an R is silent. Often on words like ER and OR, we have that silent R at the end. But with a rhotic R, you'll actually say it. So in the West Country, words like butter, water, computer, and lover are said butter, water, computer, lover.
One night, before it's all nappies and night feeds again, I feel like we don't see each other.
Don't be daft, we see each other every day.
We don't talk about important things.
Right, now we're going into the Midlands area, into Birmingham. Of course, this accent has become famous because of the Peaky Blinders. They have Birmingham accents as the show is set in Birmingham. It is a notoriously difficult accent actually to imitate and sometimes to understand because there are a lot of vowel changes. Let's look at a few. The I phoneme, I as in buy, as in try, as in write, actually becomes more of an oi, troy, poi, roit, loit. So it actually becomes more of an oi, more like the sound in choice or boy. So boy is probably the best example actually. So really listen to that. Let's look at that here.
She likes the life.
She likes the life, eh? We'll find one that hates it. Look at him. That's what he did. Now he's chairman of the board.
Another thing about this accent is the phoneme almost becomes an u instead of a. So up becomes up, above becomes above, shut becomes shut. Right, next we're going to South Wales. This is a personal favourite of mine, as I used to go there a lot as a child. I think it's just a beautiful accent, just so sing-songy and sweet in some ways. So basically, it is a very sing-songy accent due to the Welsh language's influence on the accent. Now, when we say sing-songy, what we actually mean is that there are extra rising tones. So not just always at the end of the sentence, but you'll also get them in the middle of the sentence, at the end of words, where you wouldn't normally expect them. For example, I could say, it's a beautiful day today. Oh, it's a beautiful day today. With a Welsh accent, this could be, oh, it's a beautiful day today. And there would be sing-songy intonation throughout. Oh, it's a beautiful day today. Perhaps not the best impression, so let's listen to Tom Jones from The Voice and really pay attention here to his intonation.
It's not the BBC, it was the people that were running the show, whoever decided to give me the elbow.
Another thing about this accent is that there is a tapped R. A tapped R is when there is one roll of the R. So instead of saying great, bright, fright, you would say great, bright, fright. So one little roll of the R. Oh, William, that gave me such a fright.
I met Howard when he came out of prison 13 years ago at a Super Furry Animals gig, and I made him sign a whole packet of Rizzlers.
Right now we're travelling up and across, actually, to East Anglia, the eastern part of the country. Now, this again is a little bit associated with farmers, this region. And they're known for talking very slowly. People from Norfolk like to really make the most of the sentence. They slow right down. Have you watched that on the television? It is quite sing-songy as well, but one feature which really stands out from East Anglia is yod dropping. Now I know what you're thinking, what on earth is yod dropping? Well, in words where you hear the oo, you have the oo phoneme, such as boot, cute. In some of those words, you actually have a little y sound. For example, in news, tune, music, Tuesday. Can you hear there is a y, Tuesday? However, in East Anglia, they drop this, and it's very similar to Americans. In an RP accent, this would be a big no-no. But in East Anglia, they say Tuesday, music. Ooh, what's that lovely music? Right now we're going up into the northern regions of the country to Liverpool. Now, if you've been watching this channel a while, you'll know that I was born in Liverpool, so Scouse is a bit of a favourite of mine. Now, Scousers talk a lot like this, like they're really eating their words in some ways, and there's a lot of changes with the vowels, so we'll only look at a couple today. But if you want to know more, then head and watch my video. A really key feature of the Liverpool accent is this sound. So words like word, first, bird, heard, work, they're not said with an they're said with an ear, word, first, bird, heard.
Hen do's have changed. That was there, and there was a girl in the hen do. It was normal stuff. She was dressed up like a fairy.
As well as that, we have this fricative k sound, which is more of a walk, work. So you have to put more breath into it. It's like a K and H together. Walken, talken, worken. Finally, also G is very often dropped from the end of words, such as in talken, worken, walken. You would drop your G there as well.
Like last week, we need to move on from that. So, no, as I say, yeah, we want the tempo to be right for the supporters who pay good money. We want it to be entertaining and good fun.
Right, next one, just 30 miles down the road to Manchester. So Manchester is a lot flatter than Liverpudlian. You have to flatten your words out a lot more. And basically Manchester has the trap-Bath split, which is also common to Liverpool and Birmingham. Now the trap-Bath split is essentially that in the south the words trap, and bath have a different sound, an and an r. Trap, bath. However, in the north, many words do not have this difference. They would be the same. So for example, trap, bath. The word grass becomes grass. The word glass becomes glass. The word laugh becomes laugh. So you're going to hear this a lot in the northern regions. That was a right laugh. Got to cut the grass. The next thing about the Manchester accent, which is different to the south of England, is the shut and put difference. Again, in the south, these have a different vowel sound. Shut, put, pull, pool, However, in Manchester, this would be the same. Shut, put, pull, pull.
It's all the faff of it, that's all. If you love someone, I think that's great, right? But it's this thing, this big day, the faff, you know.
Right, now going up to Yorkshire. So with the Yorkshire accent, there are changes again with the vowel sounds. So for example, the long A sound in train, fame, complain, that is actually elongated and becomes train, fame, complain. It's elongated, train, fame, complain. In fact, in some words, actually that A sound becomes almost an F, but this is really only in words like take and make, like take care, we don't make it here. So really that's only in take and make. So with the Southern Yorkshire accent, you'll also find the ow diphthong can get changed to an ah sound. So instead of how, it would be ow. Instead of south, it would be south. Instead of mouth, it would be mouth. Another thing which I would say is common across Yorkshire is the changed pronunciation of the Y ending. So for example, in words like funny, money, city, baby, those words where you'd hear more of an E sound normally, that gets changed to more of an I. Funny, money, baby, city.
You mean you'd give her the baby, but not the money?
Right up to North Yorkshire. Now here you'll start to hear some words pushed together a little bit, and this is more, I would say, in rural areas. So you'll hear for the other, you might hear t'other, or isn't could be said as int, like ain't it lovely. Another thing is that words which have an sound in them can actually often be changed to more of an o. For example, done, some, none could become done, none, some. I've got some.
I thought you'd be too busy running around after your new house guest to be coming in here.
And I thought you lot would want to know how our Belle's doing.
Right, we finally come to the Geordie accent. Oh, this is a hard one to do. Right, so the Geordie accent has changes in pitch, intonation, and on the vowels. So one thing it has is a glottal stop, again in words where we wouldn't normally expect it. So for example, things like complicated, butter, something. You'll actually hear a glottal stop there again on the T's. Complicated, water, something.
Do come back together, and we have in the last year, you enjoy it more, you know? Because I don't think we've ever took it for granted, but there is points where you just go to work.
As well as that, words which would generally have a schwa sound at the end, such as ever, over, water, that has more of an sound in the Geordie accent. Water, ever, over.
Will you stop taking the mick out of how I speak? It's where I come from. That's how we talk. Get over it.
Right now we're crossing up into Scotland, crossing the border, and we're first going to look at Glasgow. Now Scotland has many different accents depending on whether you're in the Highlands, Glasgow, Edinburgh, the islands surrounding Scotland, but today we're just going to look at Glasgow and Edinburgh. So the Glasgow accent is probably one of the more famous versions of the Scottish accent due to again it being represented on television, films like Trainspotting, the comedian Billy Connolly. There's again a tapped R on many words, and as well as that, some vowel sounds will get exaggerated, particularly things like the sound. So instead of saying I didn't know that, it would be I didn't know that, and the would get elongated a little bit, that, and you might rise up a little bit. Again, the intonation is quite particular to Glasgow. The only way to learn it is to watch it and really try to follow it and absorb it.
It's a grade down, it's a step down the ladder, I feel. And it was a thing about wildebeests in the Serengeti Plain in Africa. David Attenborough, one of those guys, you know.
The Edinburgh accent is a little bit more higher in pitch. So think about Professor McGonagall from Harry Potter, and also the actor Ewan McGregor. He has an Edinburgh accent. Now, one thing about the Edinburgh accent is that the oo phoneme on cute, boot, food, that is actually clipped to become more of an and because of the fact that there is no difference between the phoneme in good and food, there in the Scottish accent, they rhyme. However, normally they would be said good and food, oo. But in the Scottish accent, actually they would become the same, good with food. So they would both become more of that phoneme rather than the oo. So it's kind of a clipped oo.
I was brought up to tell the truth, and I was in a situation where I wasn't really allowed to.
Right.
You know, because the studios and the big franchises, but they want to keep everything very secret and as closed as it can be.
Right, guys, that's the end of our whistle stop tour through the UK accents today. I do hope you've enjoyed this and that you would feel more confident about recognising those accents. If you would like any of those accents in more detail, do tell me about that in the comments and tell me which is your favourite. Which accent do you like? Be sure to subscribe, guys, and if you like this video, then please give it a thumbs up. See you soon on Love English. Bye bye.